Welcome back to the 5th episode of 1 Year, and welcome again to my personal journal to becoming the best person I can be in 1 year. I am changing up the structure of the podcast from here on out. Rather than focusing on the three spaces of personal growth, business, and school, I want to focus on lessons in general and generalized lessons that I've learned over the past week and what has impacted me the most. I think it's more important to focus on lessons and points rather than breaking it into sections, because all of those different points, as I learned from last week, they impact me in all of those spaces, and it's more important to focus on those larger scope problems. So in general, I'll be focusing on 1 to 2 lessons from what has happened in the past week. And this week, we'll be focusing on one main point. I'm also going to keep the intros shorter, and I also want to keep everything just a little bit shorter because typically there's one main thing that's happened in the week, and I think that's what I want to spend the most of my time on. So the main point for this week is overtraining and overworking. I suffered severely from overworking and overtraining this week, and I especially felt it this weekend. I felt like a failure this weekend. I felt like I broke the boundaries that I set for 1 year. Maybe I did fail, and maybe I had a reason to feel like a failure because of it. But it's more important that I know why I feel or I failed. Whatever title I want to give it. It doesn't matter because I know why it happened. And it's more important I know why, because this year is about learning and developing, and as I said, becoming the best person I can be. So, even if I did fail, even if I broke the boundaries, I'm glad that I learned the lesson from it and can use that lesson to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think that's a lesson in itself, in realizing that what I'm setting out to do and what I want to get done this year is going to be fucking hard. And I'm going to fail. I'm going to break those boundaries. But as long as I am willing and able to come back from it and realize what went wrong and what I can do better next time, that's more important than realizing a couple days I fucked up. Because I'm only a month into this, but it feels like I've been in this for 2-3 months, maybe even 4. Because every day feels like a struggle. That's because it is. What I want to get done and what I'm doing is not easy. And it's important that because what I'm doing is so hard and is something worth struggling for, it's important that I take the necessary rest and recovery. Because some days, yes, I'm going to work as hard as I physically can. But some days, I'm not going to work as hard as I worked the day before. And that doesn't make me a failure for it. This weekend, I fell into a bit of a darker pit. I didn't get any work done. I watched TV. I watched entertainment. I consumed entertainment for a long period of time for the first time this year, basically. And every minute, every second I was watching it and consuming, I felt like a failure. Especially not helpful because I have a midterm on Tuesday. But I didn't care, which was terrifying to me. I didn't care what was going to happen on Tuesday because I wanted a little bit of comfort. I wanted to watch my show. I wanted to just not work. I know why. It's because this week I went as hard as I had gone before. Not work-wise, not school-wise, physically. I pushed my body this week to a limit I don't think it's been at. Possibly ever. I overtrained my body this week. That's what caused my failure this weekend. And the feeling that I had today and had yesterday. That's what caused it. I would do a hard gym session for 2 hours and then go to jiu-jitsu later that day. And I did that every day this week. And it kind of cultivated to the point of Saturday morning where I woke up and leaned up and felt my back just explode. It literally felt like somebody had sucker punched me. Just straight up. Straight off waking up, just bam, straight in the gut, straight in the back. And I woke up later than usual because I slept through my alarm because I didn't want to get up. And I went to jiu-jitsu because I could not let my pain and what I was going through and the ego of not going, my ego of not going, I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it stop me from going to jiu-jitsu. I went late, I showed up late, and then proceeded to get my ass kicked for an hour and a half. And it was only sparring and only rolling. So for people that know jiu-jitsu, they know that those days are the hardest days because it is non-stop. And literally some days we would just continue to go through rounds and go through the bell and we wouldn't stop. And I felt like afterwards I got mauled and that my body was cell by cell breaking apart. And it was such a weird feeling because I felt like pins and needles on my body. I was going, what the fuck is going on? My body physically couldn't handle any amount of stress, any more stress that I put on it. I tried to do a push-up afterwards to test it. I literally collapsed upon doing one push-up. This was like an hour, 2 hours after doing jiu-jitsu, so there was no like short-term kind of pain from it, I guess. And I failed on doing one push-up because my body physically couldn't handle any more stress. And then I went and sat down on my desk to try and study for my midterm. I physically felt pain across my body throughout the rest of the day. While sitting down on my desk for 4 to 5 hours trying to study. Oh my. Just literally thinking about it makes me feel the pain that I was experiencing. I was distracted. I didn't want to work. I watched my TV show whilst I was studying. And despite that, I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was doing was distracted, but I didn't care because my body was so done. My brain was so done. I felt like a failure. A true and utter failure. because I knew what I could do, but I wasn't doing it. And only really a few hours ago did I realize what the lesson from it is. Which is crazy because this morning I woke up and went, oh shit, I have the podcast today. What the fuck am I going to talk about? Despite not realizing that this morning and today and yesterday was probably the biggest lesson of the week. I literally was sitting there going, what am I going to do for the podcast? Whilst experiencing what the lesson was. Because this morning I woke up the same thing. I didn't get out of bed for 2 hours. I didn't get out of bed for 2 hours. I woke up late. And I didn't get out of bed for 2 hours. But I realized at like 4 o'clock today, 4 hours ago, what was the problem? I realized that I'd overworked and overtrained and hadn't taken my rest and recovery seriously enough. Because I thought to myself, who needs rest? Not in a rhetorical question, an actual question. Who needs rest? And the answer, the past month, would be weak people. Weak men. A weak me would need rest. Would need recovery. And what I realized today is without recovery, you are weak. I was weak physically yesterday and today because I didn't recover. And there's nothing I could have done about it. There was physically nothing I could have done about it. But if I'd prevented it, I wouldn't have been a physically weak person, mentally weak person that I was yesterday, because I was drained. I was done. I was out for the count for the past 48 hours. I've been out. I've been finished. I was done. Because I didn't recover. I didn't rest. I didn't sleep enough. I didn't drink enough water. And I think the main point that this kind of got to was last night, I literally almost went and got a burger and sat down and watched TV. I was so close. I planned exactly what meal I wanted to get. Exactly what I was going to watch. Where I was going to watch it. How I was going to watch it. I know exactly the setup I was going to have for it. And as I was putting on the jacket to go and leave, to go and get it, I went, what the fuck am I doing? I have planned out a series of events to take advantage of eating a burger. I stopped myself and I started the oven and I put my white fish and sweet potato and ate that for dinner. And it was the worst meal I have eaten for a long time. Because I knew that instead of this, I could have been eating a burger and fries and watching TV right now. But I was also eating it and going, I was weak and I still am weak. I was still feeling it because for the past month, I have not rested a single day. I have worked out every single day for the past month. Most days, twice a day, without a single rest day. Today was my first full rest day. And yeah, I'm going to admit it. My ego makes me feel like I'm a failure. I feel like I failed today. But I know tomorrow I am going to be so much more energized. And you know why I had a rest day today? It's because my jiu-jitsu got cancelled. I was planning to go to jiu-jitsu today, but it got cancelled. It's literally a fucking sign. It was a sign that it was my fucking rest day. They went, your ass is still going to jiu-jitsu. Fuck you. No, it needs to be cancelled. Like your body can't take this. You're going to explode. I genuinely think if I'd gone to jiu-jitsu today, then maybe I would have skipped on this podcast and just not done anything today. Besides jiu-jitsu. And I would have gone, I went to jiu-jitsu today. That's all that matters. So I'm glad it got cancelled because I could stop, recover, and do this podcast and make myself realize what I need to get done and how I can be better next week. Which starts with not working as hard as I have, but working smarter than I have in terms of my activity and my routine. Because I cannot do hard sessions of gym and jiu-jitsu on the same days. It is killing my body. I need to focus on recovering in between sessions of jiu-jitsu and gym. And so I've come with the strategy of if I have a jiu-jitsu and gym overlap, which I think I have 3 days this week, that those gym days will be light. 30 to 45 minute workouts with a focus of just getting the reps in. Not going as hard weight-wise, not hitting a PR, just getting the reps in. Because typically I would work an hour and a half to 2 hours those days. Despite the fact I have jiu-jitsu literally a few hours later, which is ridiculous. I cannot do that. I will also be focusing on making sure that I have a day of recovery after jiu-jitsu and before my next class. So on those days, I can go hard at the gym. Because I know I won't have jiu-jitsu later, which will kill my body. And I think that's the smart way to do it. I think that's the much better way to do it. Because otherwise, I will just be killing my body. So this week's lesson is without recovery and resting properly, you fail yourself. You will lose sight of your vision and your goal because you didn't rest and recover. And I'm going to look into certain measures and certain ways that I can make sure that my recovery is optimal. And I'm sorry I didn't before this. I should have. But the two basic ones are sleep and water. So I'm making sure tonight I get a good night's sleep, drink a shit ton of water, because I haven't drank enough water this week. I know I haven't. So I'm making sure I drink enough water and get enough sleep to get back in action tomorrow. Because I don't have the time, I don't have the luxury to sit around and mope for another week. I have a midterm on Tuesday, and I have shit I need to get done this week. And I cannot waste a weekend like I did this weekend. I can't do it again. Yes, it was nice. It was comfortable. But as I said in the last podcast, I need to be comfortable with discomfort. That's the only way forward. And that's not by putting my body through hell and just expecting it to come back even harder the next day. I can put my body through hell. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to. But I need to make sure that, you know, I am coming back even stronger the next day, regardless of the fact that I put my body through hell, because I have not been recovering my body. I have been taking minimal action to make sure my body is optimal, even after working out. Because you become weak if you don't rest. Everyone knows that. If you do not recover properly, you will feel sore. You will feel weak. There's a reason that you feel sore after the gym, and it's because you haven't recovered properly. Even if you've worked out every single, like, you haven't worked out in a very long time, and you feel sore the next day, it's because you didn't recover properly. It's not because you went hard at the gym. It doesn't matter how hard you went at the gym. It's because you didn't recover properly. There's a difference between stopping and giving up and resting. And that's really important, because I gave up this weekend. And I failed this weekend because I didn't rest and I didn't recover. Resting and recovery is not giving up. Even though your ego and my ego may say otherwise. Resting is the only way that you can allow yourself to push harder the next day. It's really uncomfortable to discuss how I felt this weekend, because I'm saying it out loud that I failed. And a lot of people don't want to say that. A lot of people don't want to discuss. Is the stream here? I'm worried the stream failed. No. Okay, I think we're good. Stream's good. Okay. As I said, it's really uncomfortable to say you failed aloud to a lot of people listening, people you don't know, because you want to shine the light on your achievements and hide in the shadows your failures. But like everyone knows, if you fail and you learn from what happened during your failure, you will never make that mistake again. And if you do, you'll come back even harder the next time. I'm not going to make the same mistake I did this week. I'm taking care of my body. I'm taking care of my brain. They are the two things the most important to me. Because you're not okay and you can't live without them. Because I need the energy to come back and fucking take over the next day. And that's what's important to me. Is making sure that you're 1% better the next day. No matter what. Even if it means taking the day off, recovering, doing whatever you need to make sure your body is happy and healthy. I'm going to leave the podcast at that, because it's the most important point that I have this week, and it's what's impacted me the most this week. And I want to let it sink in and let people and myself realize the effect and power that comes from strategic recovery. Because if you don't recover properly, you will fail, like I did this weekend. You will be weak without recovery.